Alexa, play Space Unicorn.
Daddy's playing it.
Alexa, off. Space Unicorn, soaring through the stars, delivering the rainbows all around the world. All around the world. So beautiful. Woo! Welcome!
Wow! 10 of you already! You're on the beat!
Marshmallow lasers!
Jam it out, sis!
Woo! What's up, emojis? Space Unicorn, soaring through the stars. Oh, Corey's on. Hey, Corey.
Hey,
All around the world.
We hope you're hanging in there. Hey, Layton! Hope y'all are good in North Texas. Hi, Cheryl! We're on our work page, right? Okay.
Woo, yeah.
What are you most excited about?
Chloe's gonna be here.
Oh, she said my girl. Happy birthday, Shannon Orozco.
Happy birthday.
Thanks for joining us.
Where is Chloe?
Awesome. What is everybody drinking tonight with our cheese class? Tell us what you're drinking. Maybe because they don't have cheese and they know that they don't have cheese. What's up, y'all? Happy date night.
Woo!
We are so pumped
We
to have you.
are just waiting for everybody to join us, although you guys are on it tonight. So we already have 63, but we have 150 people joining us tonight. So
We are so
this
pumped.
is called the pump ourselves up, get centered, install until more people joining us. What tunes are going next?
I'm getting some music going here in the background.
Are you gonna say bye, sis?
You want to?
Bye. Love you, Chloe.
Oh, that's sweet. If she's still on.
All right, have a good night, sister.
All right, I'm getting our screens.
So hey guys, welcome in. If you have just stumbled upon this or it popped up on your Facebook feed due to some weird algorithm that none of us know or understand and is ever changing, we are doing a tasting tonight, Taste of Texas,
Woo!
Facebook Live, real time with the Antonellis.
Yeah, real time, unscripted, real time. With
Always.
the Antonellis.
I've never been scripted in my life, even as a drama kid. So if you're watching and wondering what we're doing and why would you just watch two people eat cheese, there are 150 other people out there who are going to be eating cheese
too.
with us.
Awesome.
So if you are in Austin, we are doing these specific ones every Wednesday night, and you guys, this will be the first time that we're going to tell anybody, but next Wednesday, tickets are on sale. We just put them on sale today, but we haven't told anybody. Next Wednesday, we have lost it. Absolutely.
Lost it. Bonkers.
Because we're so cooped up, we are doing a Road Trip USA pairing where we're going to pair 7 different states, American artisanal cheeses, but with your favorite gas station, convenience store food, reminiscent of all your childhood road trips. So somebody on the team was like, we got to have bugles. I said it right?
Yeah.
I was a Peachios kid. I always got Peachios. What did you always get when you were road tripping?
Peanut M&Ms, but I chose not to put them on for some other amazing. I chose some other ones. You just have to find out. We're missing our gas station snacks on drives an hour outside of town, going to the hill country, all that kind of stuff.
And you're like, are these the artisanal shop people? They are. We take artisanal snacks and then we eat them all within the first hour and then have to stop and buy crap food. So anyway, that will be next Wednesday. And then the following one, we're going to do another 101.
Oh, so pumped, y'all.
We get pretty silly on these. If you're looking for some more specific content and to be a little more clued in or dialed in, our team of cheese hosts are doing a different class every single night on different topics, and it's in small groups, not on Facebook Live, but you can see yourselves and each other, and you can dial it, you can talk and all that stuff. So there's that way too. And then if you are outside of Austin, we can ship you cheese in a box.
Yes, we can.
We've got a cheese class in a box. I wish it was like da 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 da. Oh my gosh. Beta
goes the cheese.
version 2.0 will have us popping out some little
awesome.
Okay.
I like where your head's at.
So tonight, Taste of Texas.
Oh, we are so excited. Looks like we have 100 computers looking at us right now, so we probably have the 150.
Oh, I never thought about about that. I don't do the math that well.
I should think that we should get started because there's lots of people
Let's
that
do
are
it.
hungry, and it usually takes a few minutes. Definitely let us know if you're celebrating something. We are celebrating date night tonight. This is a great opportunity for us to like break away from being, just parents or just business owners or just cleaning the house about 7 hours a day, it seems like, now that we're staying here all the time and actually spending time together. So
yeah.
y'all are just getting a look
John
in
just
on
walked
us.
into the bathroom as I was cram dressing and was like, wow, you're brushing your hair? Like, he's like, I can't believe you're putting in all this work. But clearly my Wednesday night Facebook Live date is the only time I like reset the whole body and shower and blow dry my hair and all that stuff.
I love you.
Just kidding. I look like this all the time.
You look amazing.
So
tell us if anybody's celebrating birthdays, anniversaries.
But when you say it's our date night, it's really not a joke because even though we are confined in a house, like many of you, with our kids and trying to run a business, we're both like passing each other in the hall. You're on one kid, I'm on another. We both have different job responsibilities. And so this is like really the only time of the week where we are kind of centered in coming together and we are... Yeah, it's date night. We took like a quick walk beforehand to kind of come to where we're at tonight and to be here with you. And so tell us what you're celebrating and if it's just being alone.
We got some happy birthdays out there.
Okay, do it.
Happy birthday, George. Nick, happy birthday. Alyssa's husband gets a birthday shout out, whether he's here or not. Happy birthday.
Cheryl Morales, thanks. Tax deadline day is what she's...
Well, used to be.
Yes, as a CPA. Ashley and Associates. What else?
Yeah. Well, this is outstanding.
Okay, and Taste of Texas tonight is super important for us, as I'm sure you guys, and the reason many of you are here, you've been hearing about it. It's really hard. Right now, there is a lot of food being made and available, but it's because of distribution and what's going on, it's not easily accessible on grocery store shelves. And groceries, which are great, they're providing a much needed service. They are really only prioritizing and stocking essential items, which we get as well because we are on our last roll of toilet paper. So do it. Yeah. Please keep stocking the toilet paper. That being said, that means there's a lot of food that's going to waste and a lot of smaller producers which are falling off, and their animals are still milking and they still are sitting on all this cheese that's perishable. And so for us, it's really important and exciting that we have the opportunity to share with you some of our favorite Texas producers and not only shed up a spotlight on them, but move the cheese. So because of you, we got to sell 15 pounds of each one of these cheeses today. Yeah. So thank you for hopefully just having fun, but supporting our Texas
and hopefully you fall
tonight.
In love with it. Happy birthday to Brian. Happy birthday, Isaac. Happy birthday, Sid Roberts. Paul Rent's night out. I like that one.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, so if you're drinking, let's just set up some ground rules here. Some of you may have joined us. This is now our 8th one of these doing. Like the time vortex of pandemic, I don't even know anymore. We've now done this for more than 1,000 people, I think, which is pretty cool. So some of it might be a repeat, but if I were you, if you're like, I want to drink something tonight, Kendall, what should I drink? We will always tell you bubbles of any kind. I don't care if it's alcoholic or not. So we normally always have a Rambler watching. We can't get any Rambler from grocery stores. So we always have a sparkling water of some sort. It's Rambler, Topo Chico, whatever you want. And clearly we're not drinking water tonight. We're only drinking wine.
By choice now.
If you are drinking wine, sparkling wine will always be great. I like a drier sparkling wine. And we'll talk more in details as we go through it. But just if you're wondering what to pull out. And then these first 3 or 4 are going to be great with a really acidic or dry white wine or rosé. And then the next ones you can move into a lighter bodied red. None of these are really going to be awesome for a big full bodied red. But hey,
it's
whatever you want to do.
Wednesday night in Texas, and it's actually, I don't know what day it is, I guess.
Wednesday, because we do these on Wednesdays. That's the only ways we know.
It's whatever today is, and a red wine could be perfect. Weather's outstanding. For those of you that are trying to figure out what you should be eating right now, because
nothing.
Well, the bread is fair game. This is Easy Tiger baguettes. Some folks may have gotten mini toast, and so you can eat those. Everything else is a pairing. And over the next 45 minutes, we're going to go through and guide you guys on a really awesome exploration of flavors and tastes. And we are drinking an Albarino from the Growers Project.
Because we're being Texas
all
tonight.
Texas.
So, let me see. Oh, there we go. This is a 2018 Albarino. Ray Wilson is the collaborative winemaker. She is awesome. She's an Austinite. She's a sommelier. She did go train in Europe. And so the Grower Project is makes single varietal wines from single estate wines based all in Texas, and she does different work with different ones. So this one was made in Lubbock, I think. Yeah, is that right?
So good.
And it's going to be perfect because it's nice and dry and has this great minerality to it, which I'm going to love with the goat's milk cheeses because I already know it. Okay.
Because it's going to be awesome.
So that's our shout out to them. Cider's great too. If you want to support Texas Keeper or some other ciders. All right. Was your alarm telling us we're in trouble or something?
Yep. It's time to try at least a bite.
Okay, let's do it.
That seems to be what the goal is right now.
At least 6:09 is earlier than we've got it to the bite. Okay, I'll do it.
We have so much to talk about with the cheesemaker. So do you want to do the taste? Why don't you do the tasting? I'll do the pinch.
All right. So you guys, the majority of hold on just a second. What was I going to say? The majority of flavor is taste plus aroma. So what you taste on your palate: sweet, salt, bitter, umami. Sour.
Your favorite candies.
And then really where all the flavor comes through is in your olfactory and your retronasal. So that is to say, the reason when we like drink a wine and we smell it and then we let it sit on our palate and we gurgle it and all that is to get the olfactory and to put it up into our nose so we can really taste the wine. So we just want you to mindfully eat your cheese that way tonight. You don't have to gurgle it. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you're alone at home, go for it.
I've tried it
but we're just going to take our time and mindfully eat it. And to get started and to show you the importance of your nose on flavor, we're going to do a little experiment. And it's also the way that we all kind of calibrate our palates. So everybody tastes things differently. Don't believe any scientist who says this is wrong and you are right. Your palate is your palate. Ain't nobody been there but you. Well, we'll leave that there. It's early in date night. But the point of it is you taste what you taste. So we're going to tell you what we taste when we're talking through these, but it's really on our palate, and we may disagree. But one thing we can do is kind of, in case anybody just chugged a gallon of coffee, we're going to try to kind of calibrate our palates, normalize it, and then also see the importance of smell. So I want you to plug your nose, keep breathing in and out of your mouth. Put your corn nut, not if you're allergic, on your palate and start chewing. And again, you can breathe out of your mouth, but keep your nose plugged. And you're going to, it's salty. You can definitely taste salt. When I've been doing this recently.
A little bitter on the back.
Okay, all I could taste really was salt. Then when you think you know, open up your nose and all of a sudden as you're breathing, all the flavor comes through. And that's when you get Frito pie and popcorn and anything else that it makes you think of. That toasted flavor, all that is coming through your retronasal, not what's on your palate.
So good.
So
I love doing that.
We want to do that when we're eating cheese tonight as well. Sound good, y'all? Tonight I feel like I'm waiting on a response of like somebody to talk to me, but I forgot.
They are. Look at all these great comments.
Oh, and somebody else.
We got the name of the wine up there. We posted.
Oh, yeah. So this is our Grower Project Albarino from Ray Wilson. And happy birthday, Robin Metcalf. Okay, so let's start. Where should you position your cheese? First of all, everything we do good, eat good. These are, if you're wondering why we have these funky little trays, it's because these are bamboo and it's all compostable. So the little white cheese that has all the green on it, if you'll put that at your 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, that's where we're going to start. And then we're going to work clockwise around. The way we're going to do it, we're going to talk about the cheese, invite you to eat it, and hopefully you'll wait for us. It doesn't matter on too many tonight, but the way we invite you to eat the cheese will make a difference in how you taste it. Then we'll talk about the pairing, and you can put them together, and then we're going to just have a party fiesta.
I am so pumped.
Oh, the thing we always forget, leave a little bit back of each cheese if you want. It says choose your own adventure. But if you start drinking something different later on and or your palate is just going to change as you eat all these cheeses, it'll be fun to go and mix and match some of the pairings and try different things. And then if you save a little bit back, John and I are big believers of the last bite should be the best bite. So then you can always end on your favorite bite. Yeah? Yeah. Let's do this thing. Cheese bun.
Yeah. Oh, our tree. Somebody commented on our awesome tree. It's pretty awesome.
There's 8 leaves. Count them. The other half is dead.
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much of our secrets, so I'm going to even do that right there. Yeah.
We like to say we're like between two ferns, like Zach Galifianakis, except John said we're not funny. So
yeah, we don't have comedy, but that'll be the next time. So let's dive in and do it. I would love for you to talk about Pure Luck. I'm going to just talk about this cheese. What we're looking at here, so you can have a bite, This is an herbed chev disc. So Farm and Dairy, great friends and great partners of our business. They were the first organic herb farm in the state of Texas, and they are one of the premier artisan cheesemakers in the country. Goat's milk cheese is a very common cheese making operation in the United States now. 40 years ago it was not, 30 years ago it was not, 20 years ago it was not, but now it is. It's a very competitive place to operate because goats are smaller, they don't take up as much land, and so this is a highly competitive sort of niche that Amelia and Ben work within, and they crush it. They win awards for their fresh goat's milk cheese and flavors constantly. They're just top of their game all the time and always trying to improve. And this particular cheese incorporates some of the some herbs that they love wrapped around the disc. So the disc, unlike a chev that you would get in bulk maybe from us, it's a little bit drier because it drains a little bit differently. And the bulk chev will drain in a bag longer. This one will drain in a form a little bit differently and end up shaping a little bit nicer. So you may have a little less moisture in it. And it's wonderful. You've already tasted it.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because you said you talk about it, and then you started talking about it.
No, you talk about Pure Local
Oh, okay.
Farm now.
So now eat the cheese with John and I. And yeah, it's a combination of parsley, dill, red chili pepper, garlic, and there's one other one. I'll think of it in a minute.
Garlic, maybe? No.
I wrote it down somewhere. I don't know.
Garlic. So good.
Okay, so Pure Luck Farm and Dairy. It's in Dripping Springs. It was started in 1979. Sarah Swiester bought a little farm out there. It had, for the last multiple decades, been a tomato farm. And she started tilling the land to grow vegetables and playing and taking care of a neighbor's goats, which she then fell in love with and bought her own herd of goats. And then the rest is history. And then started making cheese. They were the first one of the first certified organic herb farms in Texas, and so used to sell a lot of their organic herbs to Whole Foods. Cucumbers was their first big produce item, but then Amelia in I think 1997 joined her mom Sarah and started making the cheeses, and they really refined them. And then, unfortunately, in 2005, Sarah passed away, and her daughters continue it. She has 4 daughters, but Amelia is the head cheesemaker and operations of Pure Luck Farm and Dairy, alongside her husband, Ben Guton, and their awesome kids, June and Sarah. And, so they have a herd of Nubian, Alpine goats, and they recently introduced Sonnens. Herd does matter, so what affects the flavor of a cheese? The species, or what species of the animal, the breed of the animal, and then seasonality, which we can talk about later. So the breeds absolutely do matter. And we're going to taste these first 3 cheeses for each goat's milk cheeses, and so we'll talk about differences in breeds.
If you haven't finished, like you can see, Kendall and I just took one bite. If you haven't finished, I would recommend seeing if you can get a little bit of the white paste out to try on its own, just to taste how good that fresh goat's milk cheese is. It's going to have a little bit of the aroma of the herbs, but not overpowering, unlike when you take a bite of the herbs too.
So how can you support them? My goal is for each person, say, how do you support them right now? Yes, buy them from Antonellis Cheese Shop. But different folks are affected differently right now. As far as I know, they are still being sold at both Central Market and Whole Foods. Each one carries a different selection. So if you're somehow lucky enough to be getting curbside pickup from either one of those locations, which we have not been, even though we've been looking out 2 weeks, clearly some people are. So buy local cheese when you can. Buy it and support them. Buy it from our shop, and then they are still doing a few of the farmers markets, and there are different rules about how you can do that. But so make sure you're supporting them from the farmers markets. We don't regularly carry the mixed herb. We brought it in specifically for this class.
It's so good.
Because if you like herbs, and we carried a couple different of their cheeses normally, but I love this one. I especially love it with the Albarino. And then I think it's a perfect pairing tonight with this Sourdough Project cracker.
This is a whole wheat cracker with a little sea salt on it from the Sourdough Project. Jen and Danny are the founders of that. They've been at the farmers markets for a long time. And this is 100% heirloom grains that are milled with James Brown at Barton Springs Mill out off Fitzhugh Road. And so just the dynamite flavor profile in this cracker.
You can also get them at the farmer's market, at our shop, clearly. Just so you know, because I always want the products to taste the best as they can, these crackers are really crunchy. Mine was a little less crunchy because it had been sitting against the fresh chev, so I'll make sure to pass that note on to our team. I just don't want you to judge the cracker on that. These are awesome, amazing, like thick and hearty, delicious crackers and perfect for cheese. And it had just taken on some of that moisture from the cheese. Normally, if we're doing a cheese class in our house, we cut it and plate it within the hour before a class. Oftentimes, and for this, we're having to do it in the morning. It's still day of, but that means it's been, some of the products have been sitting together for a little bit. What'd y'all think?
I love the pairing. Yeah. Any emojis coming through on that pairing? You can only vote 7 times for your favorite cheese on favorite pairing, so that was so good. I really liked it.
Yeah, that was like a bright. Oftentimes we don't carry a lot of seasoned cheeses just because they can stay with your palate, but I still taste the fresh, clean cheese. Is a bright way to like wake up our palates and get started and taste some more.
I love the depth of flavor of the cracker. It's still the cracker.
Warm spice.
Yeah, still. If you breathe out through your nose, there goes all the little hearts. When you breathe out through your nose, you get this really amazing flavor from that cracker still mixed with that garlic, and I'm still getting a little bit of the red pepper on my tongue.
Yeah,
cool.
And I saw different pieces had different red pepper flakes. So yeah. Yes, we ship cheese. I'm so glad like that, and Texas Pride all the way. There are a lot of things to have Texas Pride about. Our cheese is one of them.
Hey. Yes. Oh, look at this. We're getting lots of comments about yumminess.
So I always love, I don't know, joke or something that my grandfather said. So my grandmother was, actually, they were born on or worked a dairy farm growing up. I've never told this story. And their family made ice. And my grandfather moved. Well, it's the Zenowiak side, which are Ukrainian ancestry, and they had settled in Connecticut. My grandfather moved from Connecticut down to build NASA in Houston, and my grandfather always said that he was more Texan than my grandmother because he chose to move here and she was just born into it. And so I always think of that with us because I'm a native born and bred Texan, and you moved here from New York. He's a Yankee.
Yeah.
New York City. Okay, I don't know if y'all can hear it, but John, we're like jamming out on the jazz. Can we like turn it down just a little bit? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about this next pairing.
And I'm just going to make a note. Somebody asked about what the cracker is, so I'm going to make a note here. And then Megan was saying the center of the cheese it doesn't need the coating.
Yeah.
So they make that. That's the standard base. They sell just the white disc. And then they'll do a red pepper topping, a black pepper topping, this herb topping.
Our most popular cheese that we sell is June's Joy, which is just their fresh chev, but mixed in with honey, black pepper, and thyme. But absolutely, whoever made that comment, I missed it, is Megan, you're right. Just fresh chev is one of the best examples, which chev just means goat. It doesn't need any seasonings. It's just delicious in and of itself. And tonight, we're trying every Wednesday to feature a different not have any repeats for those of you who come back to us. So it was an exciting opportunity to bring in this new one since we hadn't done it yet. Okay.
This is awesome.
I'm going to go.
You want to, which part do you want to talk about? Visca, or do you want to talk about
I might
feta?
talk about them all. Why don't you start with feta? You want to talk about the salad feta?
Yeah, sure.
What do you want to talk about, Eddie?
Anything.
So, I'm going to ask you like you have a choice, and then I'm going to chime in when I want to.
What I love about feta is one of the first types of cheese that was able to transport way back in the day, thousands of years ago. Feta is stored in brine aged. That's a good sign. So it's the way it's preserved. It's a fresh cheese, but it can be preserved longer than typical fresh cheese is. Because it's submerged in typically a saltwater solution inside some sort of container. And so way back in the day, thousands of years ago, this was transportable. They could actually make the cheese and transport it as a fresh cheese by keeping it in a brine solution. I just think it's a fascinating flavor. It's high salt. This is high acid. And typically, most people that have had feta in their life have grown up more with a drier, very crumbly feta. They make feta in many different ways. In Greece, it has to be 70% sheep's milk to be called feta. They also do barrel-aged feta, so they'll age it in a wooden barrel.
And you get like tannin.
And you get tannin coming from, and this flavor, it's crazy. And so I just think it's a fascinating category of cheese. It's fascinating flavor profile. Beatree, Jenna, who we're about to taste, she's based in Maynard, Texas, and she's been doing this, now 6 years?
Yeah, last handful of years. She left the nonprofit and corporate world like many other cheesemakers alongside her husband, Jeremy. He is still hustling so they can support a farm. They did it for, there was this quote I wanted to read to you from their website, but they said it all began as a love story. And yes, it's their love story, but it was a love of the land. And they will tell you all the time about a love of chickens and a love of goats and nature and letting animals do what they were made to do. Her big passion project lately is that they are rescuing horses that are destined to have a not happy fate, and doing some rescue operations for horses. So anyway, it really, for them, goats, it's about a love of goats, but goats were a way to have an income source for the farm. And so it's not only about the cheese, it's actually about running a sustainable farm and that livelihood, and giving back to the land and regenerating the land. And so the name Beatree Farm comes from when they first moved on the farm and built their house. They found a huge wild beehive and a really big oak. They safely relocated it, but not without harvesting a little honey for themselves, which they said is a good omen. And so hence the farm got its name, Beatree Farm. For us, everything is personal. For everything in our shop, if you ever walk into our shop someday, let's hope sooner than later.
Hope, yes, one day.
I always say people see jars and cans and bottles, and we walk in and I see faces, and I see the faces of all the people we've committed to representing. I see their children. I see us trying to put our kids through college, them trying to put their kids through college, although none of our kids go to college. They'll all do something different. That's fine. Choose your path.
That's right.
Different conversation.
And a whole different Facebook Live.
But for us, when I look at this plate, I see a lot of people we've made commitments to. I see people who gave us a start. I see people who got to start with us. And it's all about the relationships. And I remember that first meeting with Jenna. And I came back and I told John, I was like, she's doing it legit. Like this, her dairy is gorgeous. She's going all out and making it work. And yes, bootstrapping it, but not cutting any corners. And her passion is, and she's loves some freaking goats. So,
yes.
And her cheesemaker is Victoria Suenos, who is awesome and talented and used to work as our shop lead. And so I hope you have tasted this feta. When I tasted it, my first weird expression was I tasted a sweetness, and I think some honey crept over, and I was like, I've never tasted that on a feta before.
Look at that. There's a trail of honey.
Yeah. So then I got a different side, and it tasted more like a typical a typical feta. For those people who don't like salt, this is a salt-forward cheese because that's how it's preserved. So it's a cheese that's preserved in salt, and you could keep it a lot longer. This one texturally is pretty soft. I don't know if that has to do with the make process and where we're at seasonality. So it can also be a lot firmer, and depending on how long you leave in the brine, that would firm up longer too. And we're at the beginning of season right now, coming back into season.
A little extra fatty. It's delicious. Yeah. Kirby asked if you should eat a nut in between each one. You don't have to. The nuts are there now just for your snacking. It can help reset the palate if you have a strong flavor in your mouth. But you can certainly do that. So this feta...
Or eat a bite of the bread if you want.
This looks outstanding, and it's going to taste outstanding.
Okay, you go for it. And then...
I can talk about Eugene if you want.
Okay, great. You talk about Eugene. We always mistime that. I'm like, eat a bite, now talk. So...
That is so good.
I know. It's really... And it actually tasting really delicate and pleasant tonight. Wow. I love a feta because it can be somewhat aggressive. But this is not tasting aggressive. It's just like a joyful... What do you do with feta? You can...
Outstanding.
On a salad, in pasta, eat it straight, drizzle a little olive oil. We really wanted to do a pairing of olive oil from Conolio for you guys poured over it. But we didn't figure out the logistics of how to do it with 150 folks. Put a little olive oil on it. Go chop up some fresh herbs that you have in the front garden or rosemary, and it's just delicious.
We have a future cheesemonger that's 5-year-old that loves feta. That's a good start.
Those kiddos love salt.
So this is paired with a Tuscan salami that's made by Visca's Charcuterie. So Visca is based out of Wimberley, Texas. They're new to the show. We've been selling them for just a few months now. And they came to us because they were the first company in Texas to get USDA license for this style, this traditional European style charcuterie. And so we have sold other Texas charcuterie before, only to find out later that the permit hadn't gone through as we had been told, or just some quirky little thing happened. And so
just to be clear on that, if you're like oh, I can buy Salt and Thyme, yes you can, and they're amazing, and go buy them, or Daidue, or but they can only, their licensing only allows them to produce and sell direct to the retail, or direct to consumer. They cannot sell for resale. So Visca Charcuteria is the first in the state of Texas to have USDA certification, to then mean that they can sell for resale.
To a retailer to sell. So we're distributing for them now. Tuscan Salamis typically are going to be fennel focused.
So these are like a month in our shop, y'all. Sorry, keep interrupting. And now you ate a bite. Okay, so yeah, it has fennel, it has garlic, it has red wine in it. It is delicious. Eugene was in New York and then went and started making, he just started training and working in France, in southwestern France, and learned traditional French butchery, is the word I'm trying to say. Not butching. Butchery.
You're doing great.
Not French butching. Again, don't know what that is, but French butchery, as well as traditional farmstead French charcuterie. So harvesting your animals on the farm and making everything right there, and sort of country style. Then he went over to Spain and Catalonia and learned the Spanish style of curing. So he's come back and kind of put it all together for us. In fact, the name Viva or Visca Charcuteria is the Catalonian name for Viva, which is like, it means live, but like, long live, or life, or like you'd be like viva viva, like hurrah hurrah. So that's our little cheerleading cheese tonight, and exciting to have another taste of the hill country in a meat form. So they're in Wimberley. They've got 4 flavors out right now. They also have a chorizo, like wild fennel and orange, I can't remember the last one right now.
Some nice flavors. So
support them, buy a lot we have them for sale online. I forgot to say with Beetree, the way you can support them right now, they are doing a CSA pickup at the farm and something else. CSA in a market box, but there's 2 different things. So somehow I missed that up, but some shopping opportunities. So you can go support them. Both of these first 2 cheesemakers do different. Beetree Farm does like goat walks on the date night walks with the goats. Pure Luck Farm and Dairy does like butter making classes and other cheese making classes, and then we do collaborations with both of them. So whenever we're all up and operating again, get on the farm when you can and play and cuddle some goats and just fall in love with these makers.
We do bus tours to Pure Luck Farm and Dairy, and then we do bubbles and brunch at the farm at Beetree, and it is so much fun. And
we launched right before all this started Farmer for Day at Pure Luck Farm and Dairy too, where you get to go like actually get some hands-on stuff. So
that was awesome. That was delicious.
That was a yummy pairing. It was a little bit of salt with salt, but I didn't find over aggressive.
I thought it brought the red wine forward more over the fennel. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
Oh no, we just Jenny just found out that she's lactose intolerant. That would have been an awkward moment if you just found out 30 seconds ago. I don't know how you found out. No, that's funny.
Actually, that's cool. Let's do an ad hoc lesson.
We'll talk about lactose and cheese. And so with cheese making, the goal is to take milk, which is almost a base at 7.0, and acidify it so you can curdle the milk and create curds. And in order to do that, you feed it with a starter culture, some sort of bacteria, whether it's naturally occurring or added into the milk. And that bacteria consumes sugar at the lactose and converts it into lactic acid. And so in order to get the pH down low enough to actually curdle the milk into curds and to create cheese, you're actually these bacteria consuming the sugar, lactose. So by the time you make cheese, it has 50% roughly less lactose than it did when it was in its liquid form. So comparing cheese to, say, ice cream is not a good comparison. Ice cream has the full lactose, whereas cheese has, these fresh cheeses have half. And then as you age them out even more, as we go around this plate even further, you get to places where there is no lactose left in the cheese. Those bacteria just keep eating until it's gone.
So you can have lactose-free cheese, guys and gals, that they haven't done anything and removed the lactose. It's just that in making cheese, you're converting lactose into lactic acids, and there's trace amounts of lactose left. So if you eat cheese and your belly gets a little belly cramp, it's most likely not a lactose thing. It's probably a protein allergy. And so the proteins in cow's milk are really big and beautiful, and they are sometimes a little harder to digest for people, and goat's milk are the smallest, and so they're often easier to digest. So I'd say then start with goat's milk cheeses, then try sheep, and then add in cow and see if that affects you differently.
So good.
See? We're just off the cuff here.
Anything you guys want. If we know it, we will talk about it. If we don't know it, we'll tell you.
We'll still talk about it, but we'll tell you we don't know what we're talking about. Okay, let's do our next cheese.
All right.
All right. I'm so excited to show this little beauty to you. Okay, so...
Yes.
Again, my daughter Elliot keeps going, bum, bum, bum. But that would have been the wrong use of that. But she's using it incorrectly anyway. So this is Baby Caprino. This is our third goat's milk cheese. And yes, we're still local. So we went Dripping Springs to Manor. And now we're in Blanco, Texas. Why do we have so many cheeses locally right here in Austin? Well, we're in hill country. We are not in the Great Plains of Texas. We're not in the woodlands. We are in an area that doesn't have as much big green pastures, and it's not as suited to dairy cows or ranch cattle, and so instead it's more suited towards goats. It's rocky and craggy, and the goats can handle it in this temperature, in this terrain, and so we have a lot of goat's milk producers here. So that's one of the things.
The limestone in the earth ends up creating a really great terroir that creates this great flavor profile in goat's milk. So all of these first three cheeses are made within an hour of where we're sitting tonight, of the shop. So we see a lot of goat's milk cheeses made locally, which is pretty awesome.
So this is made by CKC Farms. CKC stands for Chrissy, Kenneth, and Connor. Chrissy started making cheese after she was inspired on a trip to Italy. When you eat this one, try to eat out, a bite of the middle first without
the white part,
without the rind, and then eat a bite with the rind. If it does or doesn't make a difference, which we'll talk about in a minute. So they're in Blanco. Chrissy fell in love after a trip to Europe when she was, I think, 16. She came back, and by 18, she had her own herd and was making her own goat's milk cheeses and selling them at farmers markets. Now she is way older than 16, but her brother Kenny has gone through the process and is still there, and he's in college now, and then Connor is also taking the charge, and they each have some function on the farm. They have, so Beatree had Alpine and Nubians. We have a new breed introduced here. So Chrissy she has Alpines, but she also has La Mancha, which are these breed of goats that don't have any ears. And let's see, what else was I going to say about that? The black, just so that you know, I'm kind of all over the place on this cheese. Sorry. The black is not a blue mold. So if somebody's like, I don't eat blue cheese. Good, lucky you. This does not have any blue mold in it. That black is ash. It's dusted in ash.
It's a food grade vegetable ash, and it does a couple of different things when applied to a cheese, and applied in multiple ways. But one, it protects the cheese from critters when it's young and fresh, or what it does is it adjusts the pH level on the exterior of the cheese to encourage other bacterial growth to exist. You'll see there's also some white mold growing on this. If we had taken this cheese and aged it longer, the white would have taken over all of the outside. The white mold, the Penicillium Camembert Tea, that would have taken over all of the ash. And so you'll see like a cheese like Humboldt Fog, if you've ever had it, has that what looks like a line down the middle. It is, when it first starts out, it is coated in ash around the entire outside, and then that layer on the inside, and then the white mold grows over it. And so this is at the beginning stages of what that might look like.
And while you're talking about it, I'm going to show it, because mine's really black, and then John's is really white.
Yeah, George said his is moldy, and that's a good thing in this case.
This is a mold ripened cheese. So if you take our Cheese 101, or if you look on the back of your menu, there's our Cheese 101 up here. Anything that's like brie or camembert, those you introduce a mold to the outside that is these ripened cheeses, and it affects the way that it ages and develops. So absolutely, this is mold, and this is the way you're supposed to eat the cheese. And you should rind to eat the rind or not. A rind is a terrible thing to waste, especially this kind of rind. So it's delicate. I hope you see that it actually doesn't add a whole lot of flavor at this young age. Yeah. When it gets a little bit older, I like the flavor that it adds. I'm not tasting that much of a contribution, except for that little bit of earthy, a little dank little cave, like, if you will, aka dirt, kind of.
So yeah, well, what's amazing about this is because the pH has been adjusted a little bit. Like typically, when you have a goat's milk cheese, you get a real acidity on the side of your palate. Mm-hmm. With this one, you're not getting as much of that. The acidity has been
more mellow,
neutralized a little bit more. If we took this cheese another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'd get a very different experience. It'd be maybe a little bit more vegetal note. I like it. It's this to me has what a farmer's cheese would experience like. And it's quite good.
I got a question. Why aren't we supposed to eat mold on types of foods?
Why don't you eat a bite? I'll talk about it. Or what? Would you refill us?
Yeah.
I'd love.
Go for it, honey. You're working. I'm not working over here.
So Gwen's moldy too. So that's a really good question, Jenny. The main molds that we're cheese is its amazing source of fat and protein and minerals, and other things want to enjoy it, not just humans. And so we're essentially, cheesemakers are cultivating these ambient molds that exist in parts of the world to create sort of a homogeneous environment that protects the cheese. So the rind is the protective agent. It's what keeps the inside of the cheese safe and edible for future consumption, which is what we as humans were looking for when these recipes were developed. Looking for a way to store milk instead of dump it when the milk supply was so high. In the summer, these animals are just producing a lot of milk, but you need food in the winter. So identifying these scientific breakthroughs of leveraging these molds in this symbiotic way allowed humans to then preserve this fat and proteins, the sustenance that needed it later in life. And so these are from the Penicillium genus. So and it's the same genus as, you guys remember King Henry doesn't mind it. No, that's kilos, other things. That's kilos.
It's gone too sciencey for me.
There's another one. There's another one that has to do with genus, species, kingdoms, all that kind of stuff. So the genus is Penicillium, much like the medicine we make, but the species are very different. So there's no risk of allergens if you're like allergic to penicillin, the medicine. This is Penicillium Camembert Tea, which originated from the Camembert mold strain that is used to make Camembert Brie, those types of things. And then the blue mold is Penicillium Roqueforti, which is a very specialized mold that is used for making blue cheeses. There's lots of others along the spectrum, but these ones are safe and edible. And so they're just that it's cultivated in a way that it works for humans. I'm like super appreciative of the first human to ever try a blue cheese because he ate it and he survived. So he ate it again. And so he kept eating it and they used it as technology.
And I would say in response to your question, like why can't we eat certain ones? I mean, if mold, oftentimes your cheese molds will grow produce. So, but if your cucumber starts molding, it's that it's rotting and it's breaking down and it's just not flavorful. So it's not even that will hurt you. It's just not enjoyable. So it just depends for what is molding and where that mold came from. And is it making the product better or not?
And so a question was asked, what chocolate are we eating? So this is paired with a little bit of chocolate from Madhu. So this is an Austin-based company. Elliot and Arjit, they are partners. Elliot worked with us for a period of time and now is doing this ridiculously amazing chocolate. And they're all inspired by Arjit's mom, Madhu, who created...
Which means honey or sweet.
Yeah. Had these amazing recipes and flavors. So this is all, they're mostly inspired by Indian style flavors. So we have a chai, we have a spicy peanut, and then we have this saffron. So this is a saffron milk chocolate. It is outstanding.
And with this, because it isn't super goaty right now, and because the ash kind of alters that pH and lowers the acidity, it seems the cheese is more creamy to me right now, that it really just blends beauty with that 45% saffron milk bar. Tell us what you think pairing.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a different chocolate
so
pairing
yeah,
at the end.
It's the groove chocolate. At the end there should be pieces that are non-groove chocolate. Great question.
Yes, they do sell, so Madhu sells at the farmer's market. Guess what? They also sell at Antonellis Cheese, where you can get curbside delivery contactless into your trunk.
Yeah. Hopefully your chocolates didn't all get jumbled in the middle of your plate when you were traveling today, but
They were on opposite.
Yeah, they
so
were
they're
on
tucked
opposite
behind cheeses
corners,
on opposite
so
corners.
you probably have 2 little pieces. But it tastes like if you've ever had saffron is a flower petal. It's one of the most expensive ingredients on the planet. If you've ever tried to buy saffron, and I think they elevate the flavor. It's not overpowering. It's not overwhelming. It's just like really spot on.
And hi, Raymond. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
All right, so let's go on to our next one. Now we're moving from our 3 goat's milk cheeses into some cow cheeses. This one we're going to jump on up to La Pan, Texas, with David Eagle and Eagle Mountain Farmhouse cheese. These all next for cow's milk. You may be noticing that, oh, we don't have a sheep's milk. Well, we do have one producer in the state, and we're going to taste it from them, but it's a cow's milk cheese. We just don't have a lot of sheep milk producers domestic in the United States. There's a few reasons for that. We've had a handful and they've all gone out of business. There's a lot of barriers. Sheep produce less milk. It's more expensive. But that being said, our climate is just not as conducive to sheep milk, not meat. What is it? Dairy sheep, and for all those other reasons we mentioned. So we normally like to give you a lot of variety, but we just wanted to mention that there is no sheep milk on here tonight, and we're moving into cow's milk cheeses. Cow's milk cheeses, if you look down at your plate, your goat's milk cheeses are bright white, and your cow's milk cheeses are all like faintly yellow. You want to tell them why?
Yes. So, somebody asked if we can have more cheese science. Cheese science comes into Cheese 201 once we eventually get there. We also do Cheese 101s where we go into the styles a bit more.
Like just think it's 6:45 and we've only done 3 cheeses. So if we go too much into it, but it's good.
Goats can digest beta carotene, which is part of food that they're eating, and they convert it to vitamin A. So the beta carotene doesn't make it into the milk like it does with cows. So we should eat some cheese. So this is Drunken Monk. Eagle Mountain Farmhouse cheese.
It's tasting so good tonight. I hope you guys all brought out your cheese to room temp an hour beforehand. It tastes much more flavorful.
Well, if not, they've been on here for an hour, so by now it's...
Great. So hopefully it's room temp, because this one just really popped. When I eat this cheese cold out of a case, it just doesn't taste anything like it did for me right now.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So this is brown Swiss milk from Sandy Creek Farm in North Texas. David, before he did anything with making cheese, he went to source the best milk he could. He found this brown Swiss farm, brown Swiss cows, that is, and started sourcing the milk from there. And he works with a lot of Gouda recipes often, but this one is washed in a bourbon, and you get some of that like woodsiness and roundness that you would get in a bourbon from the contact with the wood, and it's just really lovely.
David works alongside his son Matt and his nephew Corey. We've been up to see them in their operation, and then for a while they were also running a pizza joint, which I'm sure is temporarily closed or might be doing takeout right now. So you won't see them as much around here. I think the only ones bringing them to market in our area. They have a number of different style cheeses, Trappist style cheeses. This is an awesome pairing to me. We paired it with the Booze Time cherries from Taste Elevated out of Castroville, Texas, just north of San Antonio. And these cherries are brined in a brandy and amaretto blend and then cooked down with spices. And so I just love that. I was going to say alcohol with alcohol, but you don't taste the alcohol, but it's that, like you said, that woodsy of the whiskey with those
it's
cooked
on the
fruit
palate.
flavors.
Cinnamon, like creme brulee comes to mind, those kinds of things.
Lori Krieger is the maker of these Taste Elevated. She started out by making all different jarred items because she loves charcuterie and cured meats, and she wanted to be in that game but without being a charcuterie maker. And so the Booze Time cherries, her sweet and tangy mustard seeds are probably my favorite condiment ever, and all these different things. And we carry them. She has a fig chutney, so we carry a lot of them. You can find them at some stores. When we're up and running again, go visit her. You can go visit her shop, and she has a little cafe now, but that's a good way to support them.
And you can eat this rind. It's just very dried out. It's edible. And this little juice that's at the bottom of the cherry scoop, you just drink that. That is...
All right. So while he's doing that, I'm going to talk about this next cheese, which I'm excited to taste.
That was unless your cheese plates got messed up in the car and things spilled over. That the cup was the darker one with the chunk in it to the left of the cheese.
So all of the pairings are really either on
right
top
next
of
to
or
it.
next to, and if not, then that means your plate got jostled somehow.
It would've. All right. Awesome.
All right, so our next cheese, we're going to go to Indigo Ridge. This
Oh my
is
gosh.
from Riverway Creamery in Schertz, Texas, again, just north of San Antonio. The cheesemaker is Susan Rigg. She was forever in the book retail and distribution business, but had always been an avid fan of cooking. And so she enrolled in the CIA Culinary Institute of America in San Antonio, and then went and finished up and did it in New York. And then came back to make cheese. And what I love about her story, so she's a relatively new, like Bee Tree Farm and David Eagle. So she's been around like the last 5 years or so as well. Is that she is out to get it and continually improve her processes. So she hasn't said, okay, I learned it, now I'm just going to go make cheese. Every single year she's gone and taken additional courses in California, additional courses in Vermont. She's gone to England. And I remember her coming back from that England trip. She was so excited because she's like, I know, she has this one cheese, and she's like, I know what it's supposed to be and how to get there, and I see it now. So I just love that one of our business is improve every day, and I love that she is humble enough to keep saying, how do I make it better, what do I do, and keep going. So this was a different venture or style of a cheese for her. They are at I can't remember if the San Antonio farmers markets are still happening, but you can buy direct on her website. You can also buy it on our website, and she has a couple different styles. This one is a waxed cheese. So why would somebody wax a cheese? If you're first getting an artisanal cheese, you might be quick to think, oh, well, that means it's not artisanal or it's not as delicious. Different strokes, different folks, but one of the benefits of waxing is it retains moisture, and the moisture can't drain off, and so it's a style and technique for making cheeses and aging them out. She wanted to make a Gouda style, but it has her own special blend of kind of Gruyere cultures. So she's like, if you imagine if Gouda and Gruyere had a baby, it'd be this cheese. That sounded a little redneck.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up on a ranch. What can you say?
The results are outstanding. We've only been experiencing this cheese, getting it for a year and a half, 2 years. And I just think right out of the gates, great flavor. When she can get it to certain ages, like we buy too much of it, so she can't actually scale up. Right now, because of COVID and because of the supply, she's actually getting to age getting is the wrong word. She's in a position where she's needing to age these longer because the sales aren't there. And so that flavor profile will develop, and this has really great legs on it. It's going to take it a long way.
Just like you age out a red wine, you can age certain cheeses, not all cheeses out. It's when she was bringing to market about 6 to 8 months. But it'll do great, I think, with age on it. Not in your fridge, again, in her caves. That's some of what...
This is the one with the light rind, Christina. With on top of it. Sorry, some of the plates, I think...
Out of the long spear ones, it's the whitest one.
Yeah.
And it was roughly at 7 o'clock. So other fun fact about this cheese is she didn't like any of the wax colors that were out there. She was like, they're ugly. So again, I don't know why my hick is coming out. I'm allowed to say that because my parents are cattle ranchers in North Texas, and I rodeoed growing up and was a rodeo queen, so I'm allowed to get my hick on. But it's coming out full force for everybody. She didn't like the color of waxes that she found, and so she created and makes, which is her step in the artisanal process, but she makes her own waxes. You just dripped honey all over my computer.
That's fine.
Honey, you dripped honey. So normally this would have a purple wax rind on it, and that's something that she has created and dipped just for aesthetics, because she wanted it to be a prettier cheese. One of her years making cheese for a different cheese, she won a blue ribbon in the American Cheese annual competition. Tonight we are pairing this with an awesome locally sourced honey by beekeeper honeycomb sourced by beekeeper Tara Chapman of Two Hives Honey. John can tell our story with Tara, but some of you have a bigger chunk of comb, some not. To eat the comb or not, you absolutely eat the comb. This is when you buy honeycomb or comb. It is raw, unfiltered, unadulterated, untouched by human hands. Certain combs are fabricated or and used as like a starter for the bees to get going on. Other combs, it takes a lot longer, but the bees produce. So Tara lets her bees make all their own comb, which makes it more delicate, and you can absolutely eat it. I just ate my whole piece. If it's bothering it at the end, there's little wax, and you can eat it or swallow it, although mine almost got dissolved. Or you can chew it for a while and spit it out, but it is absolutely edible. And what else was I going to say about the honeycomb? This is the healthiest form and way you can get honey. Tara, for her honeycomb, it's pretty fun. She is sourcing different area codes and zip codes of Austin. So this was North Loop, I think. And there's like a Zilker or South Austin. There's a Round Rock. But so she has highs in different areas of the city and then sells them under that label. You were going to say something about... She's
so great. So the first time I ever met Tara, I heard about her story about what she's trying to do, micro hives around the community, and basically teach people in the community how to beekeep. And in exchange, she will manage the hives and takes and uses the honey. And I just fell in love with her like instantly. So I basically handed her my card and I said, I want honey as soon as you can get it to us. Just start showing up with it.
And we've never... Well, only one other
time have I ever ordered something before
without
tasting it. But you could sense the passion and that, like, you know, that hunger to do something special. And I was hooked. And we've never been let down. The honeycomb is amazing and outstanding. And that pairing is great. I just inhaled mine.
Yeah, that was super yummy. So why does honey go well? If you want to buy it, you'll have to come get it, sis.
I'm hungry for a whole cheese tray.
Oh, she's hungry for a whole cheese tray. Well, you'll have to eat my leftovers. You want to buy goat cheese?
It's good. So,
all right. So, why when we're doing certain pairings, we pair salt and honey, salt and sweet. Now, right now, honey goes really well together. So that's why we put those two together. Let's do redneck.
Awesome. Yeah, let's go.
Maybe that's why I was bringing out my redneck, is because we got redneck as the power of suggestion tonight.
So Stuart and Connie Veldhuizen started this company in 2000 with their children. I think 7 children. They started this. Chelsea now is our main point of contact there. And this is a wonderful farm in Dublin, Texas. So heading up 281. They have a herd of cattle, dairy cows. They also have a beautiful aging cellar that they make and age their cheese in. They're just salted. They're wonderful people to work with. And this Redneck Cheddar is special because this is a curd washed cheese. So when they make the cheese, they will actually wash the curds. It's a cheddar style. So they'll drain the whey out, and then they'll wash the curds in a beer, some sort of rich something, maybe like St. Arnold or.
I wrote down which one for this batch.
Oh,
so this is
oh.
The curds are washed in a porter from Spindle Tap Brewery outside of Houston, and I can taste beer. I can taste the yeast in it. And
so this is just in that when the curds are in their like infant state, they're getting hit with this sort of getting to soak inside of this. And the curds, the fat molecules, just pick up some of that aroma and flavor. And we've done, with Veldhuizen, we've done partnerships with local breweries like ABGB, where we go up with the team. They use their beer to make the batch, and then we buy the whole batch so they could sell it. And I just think they're a great story. They make some amazing cheeses up in Bosque. And Chelsea is also starting a sheep herd. She's been doing it for about 2 years. And making sheep's milk cheeses. So you'll see some products in our shop from time to time when the wheels are there and ready that we'll buy some of her sheep's milk. So it's the first sheep milk dairy that we're aware of that we are able to buy from here in the state of Texas. So kudos to the family.
And these folks actually have cheese caves. So oftentimes you hear of caves or aging cellars or coolers. Legitimate, like they built into the side of a little hill a cave, and they've got their cheeses aging in there. I paired this tonight with a Poteet Strawberry Jam from or preserves from Confituras. These are made locally here in Austin by Stephanie McClinney. We have been working with her since she first started and we first started, which was all around the same time. I think she got going right after we did.
Yep.
And another one of those stories, her first jams that she was making, she was winning awards for them. She sources locally in Texas and is hyper seasonal, so it's Poteet season right now. So they've halted operations right now. She has Confiteur's Little Kitchen, which she also does as a food incubator and allows a lot of other artisans and people to start up in it, which is awesome. Opens it up to the community. Right now she can't do that, but she, under Cottage Laws, made this jam specially for you guys tonight. So I don't even think we have any of hers to sell right now. She might have some stock that she's sitting on, which you can buy online. I'm not sure. We do normally sell her, but this was just special for you tonight because I called her up and I was like, we can't have a taste of Texas and not have one of our all-star Texas producers on it.
After 10 years working with you, we couldn't do that. And this is, with Stephanie, you have to wait until the fruit is actually available for her to make the jams. So this is strawberry season. This is when strawberry jams come out from Stephanie, and these are in my top 10. These like all-time jam flavors. The vanilla bean strawberry and this straight strawberry. These are my favoriteest flavors, and so I'm so grateful that we're getting to taste it with you.
Okay, and I have to out myself this one because George just asked us, and I forget this one because George just asked us, and I forget this every time. But what is the difference in jelly and jam? And there's also preserves, chutney. I know better. So some of them. So it's what you make, how you make it. Do you remember the difference in those? I'll look it up in a minute.
Whole fruit versus blended can often be the way that it's differentiated.
Oh yeah, and whether it's juice or with the and then like chutney has the addition of the spices and vinegars in it. Yeah. And preserves has the whole fruit chunks. Yeah. Okay. So I will look up a more specific response because Stephanie's really good at answering that question.
We do a jam and cheese pairing, and that's when those are, Kendall and I are in Texas all night, and blue bonnets and all that kind of stuff. We weren't ready for that question. Good one.
I was ready for it, and I just knew I was going to flub it. So we'll come back on that one. But I love that jam. And that jam, all of her jams, like you could muddle into cocktails, just do with like a little Prosecco on top. That jam just over a fresh chev or fresh ricotta, strawberries and cream all the way. But it was fun to pair that with the Redneck Cheddar tonight.
You got it right. Yeah.
Did we say it?
Jelly comes from fruit juice. Jam comes from fruit.
We got something in there. Right. Okay. All right. Let's do our last one.
Y'all, this has been so much fun.
And take it home.
Yeah, it is 7:00. If somebody has to, because they have a prior engagement with their couch, you can go ahead and do that. This Facebook Live posting will be active on the Facebook page, so you can just watch and fast forward to the end so you can see this last bit of cheese. This is just so much fun that we've gotten to do this. And we're finishing with Paula Lambert. So as Texas cheesemakers go, she is sort of the queen. She's for as long as I've been alive, 1982. And
she's considered one of the artisanal makers of artisanal cheese in the United States.
We call her one of the ladies of the 80s. That's really when the cheese revolution started in the United States. And Paula Lambert's based out of Dallas. And so she's been making cheeses from different milk sources since then. And so...
Keep going. I'm getting some props.
Fantastic. Props are great. So Paula is... she's legendary. She's wonderful. And what we buy from her quite a few products, but this Deep Ellen Blue is one of ours. So... With blue cheeses, if you take one of our other classes, we go into more depth. Blue cheese is an aerobic mold, so it needs oxygen to grow. You can see the rind on my piece is blue. On the inside, there is, this is just maybe from my fingerprints smudging some of the blue, but there's no blue on the inside. In order to get blue to grow on the inside of a cheese maker will pierce the wheel, and it allows oxygen into the middle. And then that grows, allows it to the mold to grow. In this case, she chooses not to. So we get a much more delicate textured cheese. It's not as overpowering as some other blue cheeses. So I would tell you, try the inside of the cheese. You're going to get the essence of a blue cheese, but it's not going to be overpowering. Then try the rind to taste what that blue mold, that punch is, and then try them together. I think overall, Deep Ellen Blue is one of my favoriteest. And again,
it's just not typical of a blue. So again, if you don't like blue, I'd still give it a try because you're not slammed with salty, aggressive pecan can't flavor like you normally are. I got a little bitter on it tonight. I don't know if on my palate if that was just coming from the strawberries. I had a big bite of the strawberry jam, so I don't normally get that. And then we'll talk about the chocolate we paired it with. What are you tasting on the cheese? I don't normally get that, so I don't know if it's just what I just ate.
I'm getting a little bitter. It's not unpleasant. The mold is a little bitter. And the, when you taste the mold, it's a little bitter on the back of the palate. But together, I quite like it.
This is a good example of different taste when you have the inside paste and then with the mold on the outside.
That's really nice.
Both of us are still chewing.
So, what we paired this with is Seriously Chocolate's Colombian feature from Sierra Nevada, Colombia. 70% dark chocolate.
This is another Austin chocolate maker, Bean to Bar, Robin and Bob.
We had Madhu before, and now we're having Seriously. Bean to Bar is a very special thing. It means, well, what it means. They take the beans and they process all the way to the very end to what we're eating today. Oftentimes, chocolatiers will buy already made chocolate and remelt it. And so this is like an art form, and their intellectual property and how they're doing it and what they're doing and their steps.
It just requires you to be special so much more. It's much more skilled labor. Another way too that's similar to it is somewhat like farmstead cheesemakers. We didn't define farmstead tonight, but those are the people who have their own herds, milk their own animals, make the cheese on the land, and then age it and distribute it. I'm going to hold up a couple labels tonight. Someday we'll get around to a new program where you can see all of your menu pairings. But these are the two chocolates tonight, so you see the labels. So the first one we did was this, Madhu. That was back a while ago. And then this is Seriously Chocolate. They're Austin cheese makers, chocolate makers. Awesome. Support them. We're super excited and love these Bean to Bar artisanal producers. Both have great stories. This is the brand of the strawberry jam we just had. This is not the strawberry. I just want you to see it if you're a visual person. So confituras. So preserves in Spanish. And Stephanie McClinney is the maker of that. We also tasted Taste Elevated Booze Time cherries. I don't have those in a jar, but I told y'all I always have sweet and tangy mustard seeds. So I'm just going to show you this label so you see it and get used to it. This is the Taste Elevated label, and we had those for the Booze Time cherries. Then I just want y'all to recognize labels, so when you see them, you go buy them and support them.
Oh, great, we had these.
I know, I forgot. I'm sorry. This is the Sourdough Project, the cold fermented sourdough crackers. All right.
Awesome.
And then I have one more, I think. Oh, my honeycomb from, I'm trying not to get a glare. There we go.
Round Rock.
This is the Round Rock, but we did the North Loop tonight. So that's the 2 Hives in honeycomb. And she's doing some virtual beekeeping classes, so you can support her that way. And then when she's back at it, she does a really cool beekeeping series where you can sign up to be a master beekeeper with her. You can also do like rent-to-own hives in your backyard and do out with all that. All right, so that was somewhat of our Taste of Texas. Some other great people that are not on this is Lottie Daw Farms up in Plano. Some amazing goat cheese makers as well. Goatalicious.
Yeah.
Brazos Valley Cheese. Who are some other notables? I just want you to know their names. And they also have a good place in our heart. Just because they didn't make it to plate doesn't mean we don't love them. Oh yeah, Dos Lunas Artisan Cheese. Yeah.
So it's an amazing thing that we got to support 14 different Texas producers tonight. I mean, that's
not a bad way Wednesday night, y'all.
And 15 if we count the wine, which we will count. And so I'm humbled and honored that after 10 years of doing this, we get to be working with some of the best people in our city, in our state. I remember the first time I talked to I remember at Pure Luck. I remember the first time we talked to Jenna. I remember the first time we asked Chrissy if we could buy our cheese. We used to have to go to the farmer's market every Saturday morning.
When we first said, like, can we cheese people, they're like, who? Like, what are you going to do with my cheese?
And so we would have to go to the farmer's market to pick up the cheese from Chrissy every weekend for the first
on our busiest day of the week.
2 years of business, we would do that. Sand Creek Farm, we would get cheese from Ben at Sand Creek Farm.
We'd be walking around the farmer's market with wagons.
40-pound wheel of cheese, trying not to look awkward. I remember David Eagle, when we got our first ever walk-in in 2012, he was the first cheese that we put. I remember taking a picture with him because he said to me, "You're going to run out of space in a year," and he was almost true. I remember working with Susan, right, when she first kind of launched these cheeses, and we went down and did a tasting with her, and how Stuart and Connie took us in, and Paula. And, it's just amazing that we get to still do this, and that y'all shared this with us tonight. Thank you. The fact that we still get to do in what we want to do. COVID-19 has knocked a lot of people down, and it's tough. It's not going away anytime quickly. So I just count my blessings that we are still able to share our passions and our business and these makers with you at this moment. And so thank you for part of this. Thank you for 10 minutes with us.
We hope that wherever you're at, mentally or physically, you know that it's okay. We have both battled our own mental health demons. And right now, I'm joking that it's not living more like hour by hour. Like 9 a.m., I'm like, I'm rocking it. And by 10 a.m., I'm bawling. Today, you had like a pretty stressful day because we have not heard anything back on the loans that we've applied for. Most of the people that we know that have applied haven't heard anything back. That have all went through community banks. Again, support local, and we are not in the community bank, and we have not heard back from our big banker.
We are local. It is local. It's just different.
Yeah. So, and again, there's different things happening out there. That being said, no, we were just in a little bit of a fragile and panic state today. So thank you for giving us this opportunity to just slow down, escape for a little bit, enjoy some delicious food, and to support some good makers. And that is all part of our mission to do good, eat good. And so thank you for being a part of that story tonight. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Austin, for the support. We hope you all have a good night.